to the issue of allergies, specifically food allergies. You've probably heard by now about the 6-year-old girl whose family is suing over a grilled cheese that came with some unexpected peanut butter inside at the Natick Panera. The problem for the girl, of course, is that she has a pretty serious peanut allergy. She's okay, but did have to go to the hospital. The family says a similar incident happened at the Panera in Wayland less than a month later as well. For its part, Panera has released a statement which says, Panera takes the issue of food allergies, including the reported incident in our franchise bakery cafe, very seriously. We have procedures in place across the company to minimize exposure and risk for our guests and associates. We do not comment on pending litigation. But for many people, these issues raise a lot of questions. Should restaurants be doing more? Is it unreasonable to ask everyone to make accommodations for a few? What about the people who fake allergies just because they don't want certain foods? For more on all this, I'm joined by Neil Swidey, who covered this story and others on food allergies for the Boston Globe. Paul, good to see you. And I mean Neil, and Paul, he's Paul. Paul Antico, founder of something called AllergyEats, an online guide to allergy-friendly restaurants across the country. Paul's also a father of 5 kids, 3 of whom have food allergies. Paul, it's good to see you. Thanks so much. I don't want to litigate this case, so don't worry about that. But where's the primary responsibility lie? With you, the parent, or with the restaurant?
Actually, it's with both. For something like this to happen, a lot of things need to break down. So as a parent, you need to make sure you disclose your food allergies. If possible, you need to be able to check the food at the end and make sure that it is what it's supposed to be. But as a restaurant, once you take that order, if you're willing to accommodate the family and say you can take care of the food allergic meal, then you need to be able to do that. You need to be trained, which generally happens obviously in advance. You need to have procedures and protocols in place, and you need to follow those.
Did you read the comments on his story in the Globe? 206 of them as of this afternoon. Let me give you a sampling of the first 20. It's not scientific. Make the sandwich yourself. Oh, you ordered online. Why didn't you test it? The parents want a payday. That's pretty much the attitude people like you face from a lot of people who don't have kids with allergies, isn't it?
It is online. It is in anonymous comments.
But not in the real world? Is that what you're saying?
The real world's getting better. More and more people are knowing other families with kids with food allergies and starting to understand that this is a real issue. Absolutely.
Well, not everybody's getting better. You wrote this great piece a couple of months ago about, can we call them frauds, fakers?
Right, yeah.
People who what?
They fake allergies. They go into restaurants and they say, I have an allergy, because they know they'll be treated the way they want to be treated.
Because they don't like a particular food.
They have a preference, yeah. And this is particularly prevalent with people on gluten diets, gluten-free diets. And so the thing I think, and this plays into both these stories, is the more we can make sure the people who actually have the life-threatening allergies in their families can be the only ones using that card, the more the restaurants can focus on just those people for whom this really matters.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, in your piece, some of the numbers were stunning to me. What, 4% roughly have allergies, 30%, according to some journal, believe they have allergies, and add on top of that, the people who know they don't have them, but pretend they have them. So how do you ever fix this? It seems to me it's always going to be a nightmare for his kids and his, I mean, the generic his kids and his family, because of people like them, right?
Well, I think, again, it sort of comes back to this. The pushback is happening with people saying, hey, this is too many things, because the restaurateurs will say, someone will say they'll order a gluten-free menu, and at the end they'll dig into their date's brownie. So that we have to stop. And as a society, I think we have to sort of say, hey, that's not acceptable. If you're with other people and they're doing that, you call them out on it there, so that the families that have these life-threatening allergies, who kind of live on a razor's edge, that they can have a little more safety in their life.
Okay, till we reach that happy place, it's okay then, I assume, if restaurants are confronted with all these people who believe they have allergies and don't, all these people who know they don't have allergies and pretend they do so they get special service, is it okay for a restaurant to do a little polite cross-examination when someone comes in and says, my kid has an allergy? Because the odds are, based on Neil's story, they don't have an allergy.
It's interesting. I think it's okay. The community is kind of torn, but frankly, you also have to look at it from the restaurateur's point of view. We often want to look at it from just our own point of view.
Exactly.
They have to slow down the kitchen. That slows down the table turns. That slows down their profits when they accommodate us.
So it is okay to ask a few questions.
I think it's okay to say, where's your EpiPen? Where's your epinephrine device? Or where's your Benadryl?
And isn't even though you think it's okay and I think it's okay, aren't a lot of the families who you deal with going to be offended, saying, what, are you questioning my integrity?
Some will. Some will, but to be frank, if you have a life-threatening food allergy, you should have your epinephrine anyway. And if you don't, then you're putting the restaurant at risk, even if they make a minor mistake.
You know, you were nodding your head, Neil Swidey, in agreement a minute ago when Paul was talking about it's everybody's responsibility. But, you know, maybe this is a bad example, so don't mock me, too. See, I go to Dunkin' Donuts almost every day. First thing I say, milk, no sugar. No sugar in the coffee. 40% of the time, I get sugar. There's no malintent here. They're busy. They're focused on 40. Panera is not exactly the Four Seasons.
Right.
So isn't the ultimate, even if it's a shared responsibility, it seems to me the parents got to make the point. The restaurant hopefully has got to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, it seems to me the older responsibility lies with him, doesn't it?
Well, I think it does. But again, remember, even if the parent is checking the issue, and here you probably would have seen peanut butter had you ripped that open, but at a Panera, at other restaurants, you can't actually see what's happening. You can't see cross-contamination and trace amounts on there. So that I think it does have to be that combination. And again, the restaurant can say, if they want to feel that they're not comfortable making that, they can at the point of sale say, I'm sorry, we're not able to do that. But if they go and they, as Paul said, if they make that transaction, then they're required to make sure they've done their part.
How do you deal with the argument that I assume aggravates you the most, the tyranny of the minority argument? My kid can't go to class and eat a peanut butter sandwich because one kid out of 32 has got to. How do you deal with? What's the correct answer to that?
The best way to do it is to deal with it on a person-to-person basis. You're really hoping that everyone just does the right thing. That there's something that's lacking these days, which is a general empathy for each other and for each other's children. I find that 99% of the time, if I go to a Red Sox game or I go to a Bruins game with my son who had peanut allergies, and somebody were to open a bag of peanuts, I often say to them politely, would you mind just dropping the shells on the other side? He's got a peanut allergy. And most of the time, the people come back to me and say, we don't have to eat these. I
You
say,
check
no,
how
go
many
ahead.
beers they've had first, or you just ask?
No, I just ask. And usually, like I said, if you approach it without barking orders,
Understood.
I find you generally get a lot of
Okay,
empathy.
you're the dispassionate one here who've written about it. Give me one quick, you're the czar of food allergies for the next 30 seconds. Tell me the one thing you do, most important thing you do to bring fairness and health for those people and make sure the restaurateurs aren't terrorized. What do you do?
I think, part of it is just this awareness so that the fakers stop faking and they stop asking for special attention and throwing the A word around, because that erodes the power of that for the people who really need it.
I'm with you, Neil. Nice to see you.
Same here,
Paul,
Jim.
good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.